Chaksurunmilitan yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We're reading the Brhad Bhagavatamrta, and we're on the first chapter of the first section of the Brhad Bhagavatamrta. And Sanatana Goswami has begun by offering obeisances. And we heard how he offered obeisances to Vrindavan, and now he's offering obeisances to Bhakti Devi.
我们已经开始讲述大伯加瓦堂甘露的上半部分的第一章。Sanatana Goswami 他开始的时候向文达文顶拜，然后他又开始向 Bhakti Devi 顶拜。
Bhakti Devi is the personification of devotional service to Lord Krishna, and Sanatana Goswami begs for her favor. Haribo? Haribo?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah?
Haribo. Yeah.
We got disconnected.
Can you?
I can hear you, yeah. Now I hear you.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear what I said?
Can you repeat the second part? The Bhakti Devi is the personification of, and the next part is
that Sanatana Goswami begs for her favor.
Sanatana Goswami 就开始祈求 Bhakti Devi 的仁慈。
So, in the purport, it is described that mukti, or liberation, is herself eager to surrender to Bhakti Devi.
在要旨当中就说到了 Mukti Devi。Mukti 解脱本人也渴望向 Bhakti Devi 臣服。
Mukti understands, or she's realized, that Bhakti is superior to her.
Mukti 他意識到了 Bhakti 要比他還要高級。
Actually, devotion or Bhakti is the essential teaching of all the Vedas.
事实上呢，奉爱就是 Bhakti 是所有伟大经的核心教导。
So liberation does not accept the spiritual practices that people do to get liberation.
解脱的化身，他并不接受人们为了获得解脱所进行的灵性实践。
Yeah, people in the different stages of spiritual ashrams, they will do different things to try to achieve liberation.
在不同的 ashram 的不同阶段的人们，他们会采取不同的方法以获得解脱。
Just like the young brahmacharis, they will practice celibacy and they will also do japa, they will chant the mantras.
正如同年轻的brahmachari 真守生们，他们会念诵 japa， 念诵 mantra。
And the married people, the householders, they will do the ritualistic ceremonies. They'll perform sacrifices, yagyas.
而那些已婚的人士，他们会举行yagya，举行仪式。
And the people in the vanaprastha, they go and live in the forest, and they will do austerities there.
而处在 Vanaprastha 行脚僧阶段的人们会去森林，在森林从事苦行。
And the people in the sannyas ashram, in the totally renounced order of life, they make a vow never to go back into family life again.
而处在 Sannyas 阶段、弃绝阶段、完全弃绝阶段的人们，他们发誓再也不会回到家居生活。
So even if somebody properly, if they correctly follow these different duties, still liberation or mukti does not accept them.
即便是有人正确的从事了这些职责，
Haribo?
那
No, the voice is breaking. Anyway, you translated, right?
yes，
Okay, so I'll go ahead.
Haribo， 刚才没听到古尔巴的马德金您的翻译，你来重复一下吧。
是总，行，
对你那儿断续，有点断续。
是吧？那要不然我把这个话筒拿掉。即便有人他们完全正确的履行了这些职责的话，解脱也不会接受他们的这些方法。
Even though they do their practices very sincerely, but still Mukti does not give herself to these people.
即便这些人他们非常真诚的实践了他们各自的方法，解脱也不接受他们。
But Mukti gives herself easily to people who are devotees of Krishna.
但是解脱却很轻而易举的就把自己给予主 Krishna 的奉献者们。
But the devotees, they're not even interested in liberation. They don't consider liberation very important.
可是奉献者们对解脱，他们并不感兴趣。解脱认为，奉献者认为解脱并不重要。
Yeah. So the devotees, even if they may be fully realized devotees, or there may be those who have just received Vaishnava initiation. So some devotees, like, they're more advanced, and some have just received initiation. They haven't made much advancement yet. So two different kinds of devotees.
有两类奉献者，一类是进步了的奉献者，他们已经得到了觉悟；还有另外一类奉献者是刚刚获得了启迪。
But they both understand that liberation is not a very valuable thing compared with devotional service.
但是他们都明白，与奉爱服务比起来，解脱并没有那么重要。
Still, despite that, liberation comes to the devotees, and she comes as a humble servant of the devotees.
但是尽管如此，解脱仍然会来到他们面前，来把自己呈现为一个谦卑的仆人。
But the devotees, they just simply ignore liberation. They don't even care. They just ignore her.
但是奉献者们，他们都不在乎解脱。
So it's been like this in the past, and it's like this now, and it will be like this in the future also.
过去如此，现在是也是如此，将来也仍然是如此。
So we may wonder, why does liberation worship the feet of devotional service?
我们可能会纳闷儿，解脱为什么要崇拜奉献服务的莲花族呢？
So the reason is that liberation wants to get back the shelter of devotional service.
原因就是解脱，他希望得到奉爱服务的庇护。
The devotees, the Vaishnavas, they don't care for liberation. And so she's nowhere to go. So she's looking for somewhere to find shelter.
奉献者们，也就是 Vaishnava 们，他们并不在乎解脱，所以解脱呢，他们解脱没有地方去，他必须找个地方寻求庇护。
She's afraid that she might just perish. She might just lose her life because nobody's taking care of her. Nobody's interested in her.
因为他感到害怕，他害怕自己灭亡，他害怕没有人对他再感兴趣。
So, to people who make even a little attempt to surrender to Krishna, liberation gives herself to them.
对于那些即便是在臣服 Krishna 的这条路上做出了一点点努力的人们，解脱也会把自己给予这样的人。
But for the people who are not devotees, who are materialists, they may try very hard to get liberation, but she doesn't give them her favor.
但是那些物质主义者们，他们试图努力的得到解脱，可是解脱却不会给予这样的人仁慈。
So the chanting done by the brahmacharis, and the sacrifices done by the householders, and the austerities done by the vanaprasthas, and the renunciation by the sannyasis are all useless.
所以真守生们所做的念诵，居士们做的祭祀，Vanaprastha 行教僧们做的苦行，以及 sannyasi 所做的弃绝，都是没有用处的。
They don't get liberation.
他们得不到解脱。
So even though they try for liberation by just trying for liberation only, because they neglect devotional service, because they don't do any devotional service, they're very unfortunate. And so they fail to understand the real meaning of the scriptures, of the Vedas.
即便这些人，他们只想要解脱，但是由于他们忽视了奉献服务，所以他们是非常不幸的人们。他们的努力也会以失败告终，他们不能够明白维达经的真正含义。
So we're going to go on now, text number 9. And it's described, all glories to Lord Krishna in the form of his all-ecstatic holy name.
现在我们来讲第90节，所有荣耀归于主 Krishna， 狂喜的 Krishna， 以圣名形式出现的狂喜的 Krishna。
Sanatana Goswami describes, if somebody stops meditating and they stop their worship, ritual worship, and they also give up the different social duties, if they just chant the holy name one time, then they'll get liberation.
Sanatana Goswami 说，即便有人停止了冥想，也停止去做崇拜的仪式，甚至放弃了他们的社会职责，但是假如他们只是一次唱诵了圣名，他们也能得到解脱。
The holy name is the source of eternal happiness.
圣名是永恒快乐的源泉。 The 圣名是永恒快乐的源泉。
And and it's my very life and ornament.
它是我的生命，也是我的装饰物。
So in devotional service, the most important part of devotional service is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord.
奉献服务最重要的部分就是要唱诵主的圣名。
Chanting the holy name of the Lord is pure bliss, and it makes ecstasy.
唱诵圣名是纯粹的狂喜，它使人感到极乐。
Chanting the holy name is also it's the essence of ecstasy, and it makes everything which we touch which the holy name touches becomes ecstatic.
唱诵圣名也是所有的，也是一切的精华，它使得圣名触碰到的一切都变得狂喜起来。
So the holy name is actually it's the form of the Supreme Lord.
圣名它就是至尊主的形象。
And it shows us His mercy and His attractiveness.
它向我们展示了他的仁慈，还有他的最有魅力的特征。
So anybody who understands the power of the holy name, then they'll do Harinam rather than other kinds of spiritual practice.
任何人，倘若他如果理解了圣名的力量，他就会从事于哈利纳唱诵圣名，而不会去从事其他的灵修方法。
And if you try to do duties like according to your ashram, then it's just a lot of trouble.
倘若一个人只是去努力的实施自己的 ashram 当中的职责，他只会招致麻烦。
Yeah, when people lose interest in their Varnashram culture, sometimes they do meditation.
有的人他们对自己的 Varnashram 失去了兴趣之后呢，他们就会去从事冥想。
And the meditation may be done as devotional service, but it may also be done for impersonal perfection.
冥想既可以用来去和奉献服务契合在一起，也可以用于达到非人格的完美。
Whatever the reason they're doing meditation, we should understand it's a lot of trouble.
无论是为了什么原因来去冥想，它都会使人经历种种的麻烦。
It's very difficult because you have to control the mind and the senses.
冥想是非常难以实施的，因为人们需要控制自己的心意与感官。
And worshipping the deity is also trouble, because the worshipper, he has to purify all the items to be offered.
崇拜神像也是很麻烦的，因为崇拜者需要去净化他所要供奉的每一个物品。
And he has to purify his own heart and his own body also.
他也需要净化自己的身和心。
And other devotional practices are also troublesome. Just to do hearing is not easy.
Just do hearing is not easy.
Just to engage ourselves in hearing topics of Lord Krishna is not so easy.
别的方法也是很麻烦的，仅仅是让我们去聆听有关 Krishna 的话题，也不是那么难，也不是那么轻而易举的。
Actually, to hear correctly, we can do that only after we've done other different things. Some things have to be done to purify ourselves so that we can hear properly.
为了能够做到正确的聆听，我们还需要去做别的事情来净化自己，之后呢，才可以能够正确的去聆听。
One of the difficult things requires us to find a qualified devotee to hear from.
其中的一个困难之处，就是要找到我们能够从他那里去聆听的这样一位奉献者。
If we don't have the right person to hear from, then it will be very hard for us to hear.
如果我们找不到一个正确的聆听来源，那我们聆听也是很困难的。
So an intelligent devotee will focus his attention more on chanting the holy name.
一位有智慧的奉献者会更加专注于唱诵主的圣名。
And by focusing on chanting on the holy name, he will get the results of all of the other methods.
通过专注的唱诵圣名，他就能得到所有其他方法带来的结果。
And that is supported by the words of Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila, when she was praying to Lord Kapila.
当Devahuti 就主卡皮拉的母亲向主卡皮拉献上祈祷的时候，他也支持了这一观点。
Devahuti prayed to Lord Kapila. She was telling Lord Kapila that the holy name of the Lord is very glorious, and any tongue who chants the holy name is very glorious.
Devahuti 告诉主卡皮拉说，任何唱诵主的圣名的活动都是非常光荣的，任何能够唱诵主的圣名的舌头都是光荣的。
And even if a person is born in a family which eats dog meat, then these persons are worshipable.
即便人是出生于食狗肉者的家庭，这样的人，倘若唱诵的圣名，也是值得崇拜的。
People who chant the holy name, if they're chanting the holy name, then in the past, they must have done all kinds of austerities and performed all kinds of sacrifices.
能够唱诵到圣名的人，过去一定从事了所有的苦行，实施了所有的献祭。
And they must have achieved all the good manners of the Aryans.
他们一定也获得了雅利安人的种种的优秀品格。
In order to chant the holy name of the Lord, in the past, they must have bathed at all the holy places of pilgrimage.
为了能达到唱诵圣名的层面，他们过去一定在所有圣地的圣河中都沐浴过。
And to be chanting the holy name, in the past, they must have studied all the Vedas and done everything which was required.
为了唱诵圣名，他们过去一定研习了所有的韦达经，并且已经做过了所有需要去做的事情。
So then, there's another statement to support the chanting of the holy name, which is coming from a different book, from the Vishnu Purana.
还有另外一些论断，它也支持唱诵主的圣名。这下面的一段话是出自 Vishnu 往事书。
So it's described there that what people did in the Satya Yuga by meditation.
这句话是这样说的：无论一个人他在萨提亚年代、黄金年代做苦行，
Or what he did by meditation.
或者是他无论做过怎样。
Satya Yuga, they just do meditation. So what people achieve in Satya Yuga by meditation?
OK， 所以就是在黄金年代的人们，他们就是从事的是冥想的方法。
Or in the Treta Yuga, they did it by sacrifice, by doing rituals, fire sacrifice.
而在白银年代的人们，他们是靠实施火祭。
And in Dwapara Yuga, they did it by worshipping the deity.
而在铜器年代的人们呢，是通过崇拜神像的方法。
But in the Kali Yuga, everything is achieved by the loud chanting of the holy names of Keshava.
那么在卡利年代，只需要通过高声的唱诵主 Keshava 的圣名，就可以达到所有的这些结果。
So somebody may be doubtful about this, and they may question about the case of they may question about how easy is it for a brahmana to succeed.
有人可能会怀疑这一点，一个婆罗门他怎么能那么轻易去获得成功呢？
Somebody may be able to get some religious benefit, or they may get economic prosperity and material enjoyment by chanting the holy name.
有的人就是通过唱诵圣名，就可以仅仅唱诵圣名就能得到宗教的好处、经济的繁荣和物质的享受了。
But liberation is different from that.
但是解脱却是截然不同的。
Liberation can only be gained by people who are spiritually fit, who are actually qualified.
只有那些在灵性上是特别健康的，他们完全有灵性的资格的人，才能得到解脱。
So, at the best, a devotee who chants the holy name of the Lord with perfect faith and devotion, he may get liberation, but after long practice.
而那些怀着完全的信心，还有怀着奉爱来唱诵圣名的人，他们会得到完美，但是这需要很长的时间。
So Sanatana Goswami says this is not true.
Sanatana Goswami 他否认了，他说这种说法是不正确的。
He says that if anybody even once chants the holy name of the Lord, even unintentionally, or he may be even joking, or he may be in material distress, but the holy name will bless that person with liberation.
任何人倘若只是一次唱诵了主的圣名，无论是他是出于无意识的唱诵的，或者是开玩笑的唱诵，或者是出于物质痛苦来唱诵的圣名，圣名都会祝福那个人得到解脱。
So the chanting can be performed without any realization.
所以并不需要得到完全的觉悟之后才可以开始唱诵圣名。
Yeah, it's not going to be the pure name, but it will be a reflection of the name. It will be the namabhas, the reflection.
当然，这样的唱诵它不是纯粹的圣名，它只是影子，圣名的影子 namabhas 阶段。
But even though it's just a shadow of the name, still it will give liberation.
即便它只是圣名的影子，但这也足以给一个人的解脱了。
And this is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
这也是得到了圣典博伽瓦坛的认可。
In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it describes that a person easily gets freed from all sinful reactions by chanting the holy name of the Lord.
圣典博伽瓦坛是这样说的：倘若人要唱诵了主的圣名的话，就很容易摆脱罪恶的反应。
And he can also chant about the qualities of the Lord or about the activities of the Lord.
而且人也可以唱诵主的歌颂主的品质和主的活动。
And this is the only way recommended for people to get freed from sinful reactions.
这是 给那些想要摆脱罪恶活动反应的人们推荐的唯一的方法。
Even if we chant the holy name and our pronunciation is not proper, doesn't matter.
即便我们唱诵圣名的时候，我们的发音并不正确，也没有关系。
We will still get freed from bondage in material life.
我们仍然能够从物质生活的束缚当中获得摆脱。
The main thing is that we should chant without offense.
关键就在于需要没有冒犯的去唱诵圣名。
So we see the example of Ajamila, that he was a very sinful person, but while he was dying, he chanted the holy name.
我们可以从阿扎米拉的事迹当中得到启示，他是一个罪恶累累的人，但是在他死亡之际，他唱诵了主的圣名。
So when he was dying, he called his son, and so he got liberation.
但他在临终之际，他呼唤了自己的儿子，所以他就得到了解脱。
He got liberation because when he chanted the holy name, he remembered the name of Lord Narayan.
他之所以得到解脱，是因为他在唱诵这个儿子的名字的时候，他想起了主 Narayan 的圣名。
So it's really amazing that even a person, he may have nothing to do with the different positions in society, like brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. But he can get free from bondage to material life.
所以这一点是非常令人惊讶的。即便一个人他和社会四阶层，婆罗门、刹帝利、Vaishya、Shudra这样的阶层没有关系，他也可以摆脱物质的束缚。
So if he's not in any of these varnas or ashrams, it means he's very low class, he's very untouchable, he's very impure, very contaminated by sinful reactions.
倘若人要是不处在这任何一个 varna 或者任何一个 varsham 之中，这就意味着这样的人是非常低等的、不可触碰的，是受到污染的、罪恶累累的。
But if he utters the holy name of the Lord even once, if he utters the name of the Lord, he can get free of bondage to material life.
倘若他唱诵主的圣名，哪怕是一次，他就能够摆脱物质生活的束缚。
And if somebody just simply hears the holy name of the Lord only once, even though he's a very sinful person and he's in a very low position in society, he's of the lowest class, he gets free from all of his contamination.
而且，即便是哪怕人聆听圣名一次，他即便是非常罪恶的，地位非常低贱，也是在社会上有很低的地位，他也能够摆脱污染。
And there's another statement from the scriptures. It says that the holy name of Krishna is the sweetest of the sweet.
经典中还有另外一段声明是这样说的：主 Krishna 的圣名是甜美的事物当中最甜美的。
And it's the most auspicious of all auspicious things.
它是
Haribo, Gurumani, Haribo. Haribo, 回来了吗？ Gurumani.
Hare Krishna, Gurumani Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Haribo, Gurumani.
Good day， Gurumani Mataji 重新上线一下，他能听到我们，但是我们听不到他。Hare Krishna。
Hare Krishna。
好了，现在好了。
好了。
Okay. All right, so there's another statement in the scriptures which describes that Krishna's name is the most auspicious of everything auspicious.
在经典当中有另外一段话说，主 Krishna 的圣名是吉祥的事物中最吉祥的事物。
It's the fruit of all the Vedas, and it's completely spiritual.
它是韦达经的果实，它是完全灵性的。
And if anybody chants the name with faith or even with contempt, they can be liberated.
任何人若是怀着信心，甚至是怀着轻蔑的情感唱诵圣名，他也得到了解脱。
So when we chant, we generally think that the chanting is the business of the tongue.
当我们念诵的时候，我们只是以为念诵是舌头的事情。
But actually, when we chant, all of our different conscious facilities, all of the different conscious parts of our body can be engaged in chanting the holy name.
实际上，当我们唱诵圣名的时候，我们身体的各个部位的知觉都可以从事于协助唱诵圣名这一过程。
The mind can think about the different syllables of the holy name and think
心意可以想着圣名的不同的音节。
and think about their meanings, and also the other senses can interact with the holy name.
并且心意可以想着圣名的意思，而其他的感官可以和圣名进行互动。
Just like we know when we chant, it's a part of speech and also hearing. They're obviously part of chanting the holy name.
我们通常都明白，当唱诵圣名的时候，这个说话的器官以及聆听这个过程，是唱诵圣名的一部分。
And if you want, you can also use the sense of touch to feel the name. But you have to write the name in clay or tilak on your body, and then you use your hands, you can touch the holy name.
但同时，我们还可以运用到触觉器官来和圣名进行交流。我们可以用泥土或者是泥土将圣名写在身体上，或者用 tilak 用圣名标记在身上，这样当我们唱诵的时候可以触碰它们。
And it's a good idea to also write the mantra and put it up on the wall, hang it up, write up the letters, the whole mantra, and put it on the wall. And then when you chant, you can use your eyes to see the different words of the mantra.
还有一个方法就是把这个 mantra 写在墙上，每一个字母它的拼写都写在墙上，这样当我们念诵的时候，就可以一边看着这个mantra 一边念诵。
And you can make a banner. You can make a big sign with the holy name with the mantra on it, and then you use your hands and legs to carry it with you.
同时呢，我们也可以用一个这个条幅，用条幅把圣名写下来，然后做一个很大的标记，这样我们可以用手或用手腿 leg how to carry by leg
just to carry it. No, you carry it. You walk and you carry the banner.
这样就是我们走动的时候，我们可以用手拿着这个条幅。
Okay. And so Sanatana Goswami is describing to us his own relationship with the holy name.
Sanatana Goswami 接下来描述了他 他自己与圣名的关系。
He says nothing else is important. The holy name is everything for him.
他说道，没有什么是重要的，圣名就是他生命的全部了。
He says the holy name is the nectar of immortality.
他说，圣名是永恒不朽的甘露，
The happiness of true liberation.
是真正解脱的快乐所在。
And it's many, 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 many times greater than the happiness of liberation.
他的快乐要比解脱带来的快乐高上许多许多，成千上万倍。
And chanting the holy name is even greater than the happiness of Vaikuntha.
唱诵圣名带来的快乐，甚至高于百昆塔得到的快乐。
It's sweeter than any attractive thing.
它比任何有魅力的事物更加甜美。
Sanatana Goswami says the holy name is his very life.
Sanatana Goswami 说，圣名就是他的生命，
It's a reservoir of all auspiciousness
是所有吉祥的储藏库，
and the focus of his attention.
是他专注的对象。
Sanatana Goswami continues, he says, I bow down to Lord Krishna, the bestower of unconditional mercy.
Sanatana Goswami 表达说，我向主 Krishna 顶拜，他是无缘的、仁慈的源泉。
And in this age, Lord Krishna has appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to distribute the taste of pure love.
而在这个年代，主 Krishna 以 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 的形象显现，来开发纯爱的滋味。
So Sanatana Goswami is finishing his invocation, the prayers in the beginning, which he offers, and he's offering his respects to his worshipable deity, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
就这样 ，Sanatana Goswami 就结束了他在这本书之前所做的召唤吉祥所做的这些祈祷。他向他崇拜的神旨 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 致以顶拜。
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the spiritual master, the first spiritual master of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 是 Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya Gaudiya Vaishnava 使徒传系当中的第一位聆听导师。
And Lord Chaitanya gives his mercy to all living entities.
主 Chaitanya 把他的仁慈赐予给所有的众生。
He doesn't consider who deserves it. He gives it whether they deserve it or not.
他不去考虑一个人的资格，无论他有没有资格，他都会给予他。
And he gives also, Lord Chaitanya he allows people to taste rasa, the intimate emotional exchange between Krishna and his devotees.
主 Chaitanya 允许人们来品尝到 rasa， 就是主 Krishna 和奉献者之间这种亲密的情感的交流。
This is the most rare thing from the spiritual world.
这是来自灵性世界的最为珍贵罕见的礼物。
And there's only very, very few people in the material world who know what rasa actually is.
在物质世界，只有非常非常罕见的、少有的人、稀少的人明白 rasa 是何为 rasa。
So there are different varieties of rasa in the spiritual world.
在灵性世界有不同种类的 rasa，
But the rasa
海滩尼亚会面的，在那里Prayaga 是恒河与雅穆纳河交汇的地方，在那里他们共度了10天的光阴。
So, Sanatana Goswami was glorifying Lord Krishna, and he glorified also Lord Krishna's best devotees.
Sanatana Goswami 他既荣耀了主 Krishna， 也荣耀了主 Krishna 最优秀的奉献者。
And he glorified the abode of Lord Krishna, Vrindavan.
他荣耀了主 Krishna 的居所 Vrindavan。
And we heard how he glorified Bhakti Devi, which means his devotional service to Krishna.
我们聆听到他荣耀了 Bhakti Devi。Bhakti Devi 就是对主 Krishna 的奉爱服务。
So Sanatana Goswami now tells us about the theme of his book, Brhad Bhagavatamrta.
现在 Sanatana Goswami 向我们讲述这部大伯加百腾甘露的书的线索主旨。
We should understand this book is not fiction. It's not just a story which he wrote.
我们要明白，这部书不是一个故事，不是一个编出来的故事。
It's all authoritative. It's authorized, and it's taken from the Vedic literatures.
这部书它是有权威性的，它出自于伟大文献。
And we will learn from this book the real nature of devotional service.
我们会从这部书当中学习到奉爱服务的真正本质。
So sometimes this book will quote different texts from other scriptures.
有的时候，这部书间或会引述其他经典当中的话语。
And sometimes it will select sometimes different phrases and different words, and sometimes it may paraphrase things in a different way.
有的时候，他会对那些词语精挑细选，或者是做一些阐释。
But we should understand that Sanatana Goswami is a very pure devotee, and he has no material motive.
我们要明白 Sanatana Goswami 是一位心地纯洁的奉献者，没有丝毫的物质动机。
He's fully understood the science of love of Krishna.
他完全的明白、透彻的了解对 Krishna 的爱的这门科学。
And he has written this book in the most very beautiful poetry.
他以优美的诗歌形式撰写了这部书籍。
And he didn't add anything of his own.
他并没有在这部书中添加个人的奇思异想。
So the devotees who translated this book, and they're explaining the book in English, they want us to understand it properly.
那些翻译了这部书籍的奉献者，把它翻译成英文的，并且把它做了阐释的奉献者们，希望我们读者能够正确的理解这部书籍。
So we should pray to Sanatana Goswami for the spiritual strength to study the book carefully.
所以我们要向 Sanatana Goswami 献上祈祷，希望他能赐予我们灵性的力量，能够正确的学习这部书籍。
We should have good faith and be very responsible as trying to study this book.
我们要对他满怀信心，并且在学习这部书籍的过程当中认真负责。
So we may question how is it possible Sanatana Goswami could bring the main teachings from many different books into one book?
我们可能会提出这样的问题：Sanatana Goswami 他怎么可能做到把许多书籍当中的主要教导都浓缩在一本书中呢
So we should understand that for many years he studied all the scriptures, and he
我们要明白，他花了许许多年的时间研习了所有的经典。
and in his heart he was meditating on devotional service.
在他的内心，他始终冥想着奉爱服务。
And he was guided and protected by the Lord of consciousness.
他得到了知觉之主的指引和保护。
Which means Krishna's expansion as the super soul, or Lord Vasudeva, who's in the heart.
知觉之主就意味着 Krishna 的扩展、超灵，或者是内心当中的 Vasudeva。
So because Sanatana Goswami was meditating upon the super soul, the Lord in the heart, Lord Vasudeva, he got the full mercy of the Lord.
因为 Sanatana Goswami 在冥想内心的超灵，或者是内心的 Vasudeva， 因此他获得了主的全部仁慈。
So he got the full mercy of the Lord, and to understand all of his transcendental activities as Lord Krishna.
因此，因为他得到了全部的仁慈，所以他能够明白主 Krishna 的超然活动。
He could witness Krishna playing the flute and Krishna's charming body bent in 3 places.
他能够亲眼目睹 Krishna 吹奏笛子的样子，他的身体呈3度曲线。
And by the mercy of Krishna, then Sanatana Goswami could fix his attention on Krishna.
由于主 Krishna 的仁慈 ，Sanatana Goswami 得以将注意力专注在主 Krishna 身上。
And he could understand the purports of all these different scriptures.
他能够明白所有这些经典的要旨。
Another way in which we could understand the situation is that Lord Krishna is now performing his Sankirtan mission.
我们明白这件事的另外一个方法是，意识到现在主 Krishna 正在实施他的 Sankirtan 使命。
So we get the complete mercy by meditating intensely on his all-attractive form.
我们通过强烈的冥想他最有吸引力的形象，从而得到他的完全的仁慈。
And Lord Chaitanya, of course, was dressed in the saffron robe of a sannyasi.
当然，主 Chaitanya 他身着 sannyasi 的橘色僧袍。
Or we may think about Rupa Goswami, who was a very dear servant of Lord Chaitanya.
或者我们可以想着 Rupa Goswami， 他是主 Chaitanya 至为亲爱的仆人。
And he was working in devotion with his brother, Sanatana Goswami.
Rupa Goswami 和他的哥哥 Sanatana Goswami 在一起从事奉爱服务的活动。
So Rupa considers Sanatan, who was his older brother, he considered him to be his guru also.
Rupa 把他的哥哥 Sanatan 视为自己的 guru。
But Sanatana Goswami, he gives the credit to Rupa. He said Rupa Goswami helped him on the way to come to love of God.
但 Sanatana Goswami 却把功劳归于他的弟弟 Rupa Goswami， 认为是 Rupa Goswami 帮助他得到了神爱。
He found out the way to develop love of God, the essence of all spiritual truth, only by the mercy of Krishna and by his pure devotees.
找到神爱的以及找到灵性真理的核心的方法，只是透过 Krishna 以及 Krishna 纯粹奉献者的仁慈。
So Sanatana Goswami prays that the Vaishnavas will hear this very confidential scripture.
Sanatana Goswami 祈求 Vaishnava 们能够聆听这部至为机密的经典。
The book in this they say Sanatana Goswami wrote the book in such a way that he had Jaimini Rishi speaking it to King Janmanjaya.
Sanatana Goswami 写这部书的这个线索是 Jaimini 向 Janmanjaya 国王来讲述。
And their mood is in the enthusiasm of pure love.
他怀着满腔热忱，以及怀着纯粹的爱在讲述。
So we said this book is not fiction. It's based on the knowledge of the scriptures.
所以我们说这部书不是一个虚构的故事，而是基于经典。
So the purpose of the book is not just to entertain us, not just to tell a story to us.
这部书的要旨不是为了让读者取得一些娱乐，或者是讲述一个故事而已。
And it's not just to give a message about being pious, that we should, to try to teach us that we should be very pious. It's not for that.
而且它传递的信息也并不是告诉人们要变得虔诚而已。
But it's to help people who read the book with faith and they want to enter into the path to perfection.
它的目的是为了帮助人们获得全部的信心，并且踏上完美之途。
And the meaning of the title, Bhagavatamrta, means that this book is made up of the most relishable things from other scriptures.
这部书的标题大伯教堂甘露，这个意思是让人们能够品味到所有其他经典的甘露。
And we will learn everything about devotion to the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan. And as we go on reading the book, we'll see how relevant that title is for this book.
它是为了帮助奉献者们得到对巴格巴国家饭的奉爱。当我们继续来聆听这部书的时候，我们会看到这个内容和标题是多么的吻合。
However, Sanatana Goswami says only the Vaishnavas, only the devotees of God should read this book, because if they're not devotees, they won't understand it.
然而，Sanatana Goswami 警告说，只有 Vaishnava， 也就是神的奉献者们才可以阅读这部书，否则的话，他们是不知所云的。
So that this is the compassion of Sanatana Goswami on people who are not devotees.
这实际上是 Sanatana Goswami 对那些非奉献者的一个怜悯的表现。
People who don't like to do devotional service for Krishna, their hearts are very impure.
不喜欢为主 Krishna 从事奉爱服务的人们，内心非常不洁。
So they will not believe what is spoken here. When they hear it, they won't believe it, and they will act in an offensive manner.
他们即便聆听了，也不会相信这部书的内容，相反，他们会做出冒犯。
So when we call somebody a Vaishnava, usually it means somebody who is initiated into the worship of Krishna.
通常我们所指的 Vaishnava 是那些在 崇拜主 Krishna 的这条道路上得到了启迪的人们。
But here, in this case, it's more than that. It doesn't just mean you're just it means that you have actually got a taste for hearing about Krishna.
但这里的含义，却不止于此。不仅仅是讲的已经启迪了，而是指的那些在聆听 Krishna 的方面已经得到了品味的人们。
Yeah, they have a taste for serving Krishna and reciprocating with Krishna, and they find nectar at the lotus feet of Krishna.
他们在服务 Krishna， 在与 Krishna 进行互动，在服务 Krishna 莲花足，在这方面已经得到了一种甜美的品味。
Okay, so we will stop here today. We'll go on to next time. Are there any questions from last week?
Yes. Last week there's a question.
Yes.
From the evening class. 第一个问题是真真对所有人说 Hare Krishna， 亲爱的Guru Maharaj， 顶拜您甜美的莲花足，顶拜所有奉献者。没有安全感，不容易信任，这个障碍会随着念诵慢慢消除吗？感恩 Gurudev。If we don't have a sense of security, we don't easily trust others. Can we, by the process of chanting, can we increase our sense of security? Can we become more can we have more faith on others? Can this obstacle be removed as we chant?
Well, as we chant, we will have more faith in Krishna, and we will trust in Krishna's protection.
随着我们念诵，我们会更加信赖 Krishna， 对 Krishna 的保护更加有信心。
Krishna includes also Krishna's devotees. So if the devotees are pure devotees, they will also protect us.
Krishna 也包括了 Krishna 的纯粹奉献者，所以随着我们念诵 Krishna 的纯粹奉献者也会保护我们。
Yes.
下一个问题是李丽萍，顶拜 Guru Krishna 是自己。Krishna is self Atmarama. Why Krishna will become sleepless, thinking about Rukmini?
Your voice broke, Guru Mani. I couldn't hear.
The question is that this is related to the pastime of Krishna last Wednesday.
Oh.
And she's
yeah. Krishna book.
Yeah, Krishna book. Because in the class, it is said that Krishna cannot sleep while thinking, missing Rukmini.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Why? Since Krishna is can self-satisfied.
Yes, Krishna is self-satisfied, but you have to understand that Rukmini is Lord Krishna's potency. She's the goddess of fortune, so she's actually the property of Lord Krishna.
确实 ，Krishna 是自给自足的，但是，我们要明白 ，Rukmini 呢是主的能量，是幸运女神，她是属于主的财产。
The relationship is not material; it's a spiritual relationship.
这份关系呢，不是物质的关系，而是一份灵性的关系。
You know, we may have a love affair, and we may have a love affair with some person, and we think about them, and we can't sleep for thinking about them. That's very mundane material, because we're thinking about our sense gratification with them.
倘若我们在物质世界呢有一段恋情，然后呢我们陷入了这个恋情当中，我们思念一个人，以至于夜不能寐，那这是一种世俗的情感，物质的情感，因为我们想的是感官享乐。
You have to understand that Rukmini is not just another woman of the material world, that she has come from the spiritual world just to take part in Krishna's pastimes.
所以您要理解的是 Rukmini 可不是物质世界的普通妇女，她来自于灵性世界来参加 Krishna 消时光。
And so she took her birth in that family, and naturally Lord Krishna wants to bring her back to him, because actually in the spiritual world she's always with Krishna. But she'd come to the world to take part in Krishna's pastimes, so she took birth in another family. So Lord Krishna is eager to bring her back to his association, because she's his eternal wife.
就是在物质世界呢，Rukmini 诞生在另一个家庭当中，Krishna 呢，自然的。因为实际上在灵性世界呢，他们俩总是在一起的。但是因为他来到物质世界，为了参与 Krishna 逍遥时光，所以他诞生在另一个家庭当中。那么实际上他是 Krishna 永恒的妻子，主自然而然的就想让他回到自己的身边了。
We can have a husband, or we can have a wife here in this world, but it's a very temporary relationship. We won't have that connection again. We didn't have it before in the previous life, and we won't have it in the future.
我们在物质世界呢，可能会有个丈夫，或者是有一个妻子，但这种关系是短暂的。这种关系呢，上一世不存在，来世也不会再存在。
But Krishna and Rukmini, they're eternally husband and wife.
而 Rukmini 和 Krishna 是永恒的夫妻。
So Rukmini had come to the material world along with Krishna to perform this pastime. So Krishna wants her to come and be his wife again.
Rukmini 来到物质世界来参加 Krishna 逍遥时光，因此 Krishna 希望 Rukmini 再度成为自己的妻子。
You have to understand the identity of Rukmini. She's not an ordinary woman.
所以要明白 Rukmini 的身份，她并非普通的一个女子。
And she's always the wife of Krishna.
她永恒的是 主 Krishna 的妻子。
Yes.
下一个是来自于 Gita Govinda 的。顶拜 Guru 和所有奉献者，所有荣耀归于圣帕帕的。请问奉献服务是脱离生老病死的方法？那么在每一个年代都一样吗？Gita Govinda said, "Obeisance to Guru and all devotees of all glory to Srila Prabhupada, since devotional service is the method to get rid of birth, death, disease, and old age. Is it the same for each age yoga?"
Yes, devotional service. It's always devotional service.
是的，奉献服务永远都是奉献服务。
In every age, there is a chanting of the holy name can give one perfection.
在每一个年代都有唱诵圣名的方法，可以将人带到完美境界。
But in other ages, there's other processes. Just like in the Satya Yuga, you can do meditation. In the Treta Yuga, you can do fire sacrifice. And in Dwapara Yuga, you can do temple worship. But you can also do chanting of the holy names in these ages also. But in the Kali Yuga, there's only the chanting of the holy name. There's no other way.
那么就是在别的年代呢，还有其他的方法，就像课程中说到了，黄金年代是还有冥想的方法，白银年代还有举行火祭的方法，在铜器年代还有庙宇崇拜的方法，但是到了卡里年代，只剩下唱诵圣名的方法了。
So this is the special feature of the holy name. In the Kali Yuga, no other way.
这是圣名的就是特殊的独特之处。到了卡利年代，就是别无他法。
But in every age there's chanting of the holy name, and that means devotion. In every age there is devotion to Lord Krishna.
但是在每个年代都存在着唱诵圣名这个方法，那就意味着每个年代都有对 Krishna 的奉爱。
The Bhagavad Gita was not just spoken 5,000 years ago. The Bhagavad Gita is eternal knowledge. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that only by devotion he can be understood.
薄伽梵歌它不只是5000年前讲述的，薄伽梵歌是永恒的。在薄伽梵歌当中就说，主 Krishna 说，只有透过奉献服务才能如其所如的了解我。
So the path of devotion, just like we see in the pastimes of Lord Rama, all the people were devotees of Lord Rama. They all went back to Godhead.
我们从主 Rama 的逍遥时光当中就得知，主 Rama 的所有奉献者最后都回归了神手。
Okay, very good. Any other question?
Hare Krishna. 没有问题。刚刚我们讲到的就是主财他娘马哈帕布是那么仁慈派发这个圣名，然后圣名也是如此有净化力。我的问题是，就是我们在节日的时候邀请朋友来参加我们的节日，我们是应该有选择的邀请，还是任何人都可以呢？因为昨天我们在那个节日当中，有一位朋友带了对我们完全不了解的一位新人和孩子来参加我们的节目，然后全程呢，他也是因为不了解嘛，所以来可能就玩手机啊什么的，也不在状态，但是也参加了花花仪式，还有荣耀了菩萨的，然后之后也就走了。所以我们有的奉献者会对这个有一些疑问，就是像这种新人，他是不是我们应该邀请？因为他这种状态，也会影响到我们的氛围，还是我们应该无条件的这种派发仁慈呢？
Well, I think because of the situation where you are, I think you have to be cautious about who you allow to come.
我认为就由于您所在的那个区域，那就在邀请人们的这件事情上需要谨慎。
Because you could bring the wrong person and they could give you trouble.
因为你可能带来的是错误的人，然后他们会给你找麻烦。
I think you do have to be a bit careful about who you bring in, because sometimes we do see some place they get some problem, and it's because the wrong people come, and then they do something, they inform other people, and it brings us trouble.
那么就是所谓在带人来参加节目这件事情上呢，还是要以小心为妙，因为有的时候呢，在有的地方他们就带了一些人，然后这些人呢，结果他们就通知了其他的人，就找了麻烦。
I think you do need to know people a little better before you bring them in.
所以在 就是邀请人这件事情上呢，需要对邀请的这个人呢，需要做深入的了解才比较合适。
Yeah, you should have some kind of relationship with them. Then you should find out actually, are they really interested or not? You don't want to just think, oh, give mercy to everybody. I don't think you can do that in where you are. I don't think you can take that kind of mode to just want to give mercy and let anybody come. I think you have to be careful.
所以我们带来的人呢，至少他要有一些兴趣，而且是有一些关系的，而不应该就是随便什么人，然后我们就给他人死。就在您所住的地区，我们不要以这种心态，还是以小心为妙。就我不认为你可以那么去做。
好的，那我知道了，古队。另外还有一个问题，刚才讲到关于这个念诵圣名的时候，我们不只停留在舌尖上，而也要以不同的感官去触碰圣名。因为这2天过这个主尼坛丹的显现日嘛，所以我念诵圣名的时候，总是不由自主的想到我们去艾克查哈的这个朝圣之旅。我不知道这种状态是不是不专注啊，还是对不对？
这个问题我不太懂。他上谁？上斋帕塔嘎。
No, she's thinking about the journey to Ek Chakra while chanting.
Journey to Ek Chakra. Well. Is it okay?
Yeah.
The journey to Ek Chakra. Well, yeah, you can. For some time, you can think of that. I don't know how long you can think of the journey to Ek Chakra. We do know there was one devotee, he was meditating on Lord Chaitanya coming, and he was decorating the road, and he was putting flowers along the road to make a nice road for Lord Chaitanya coming.
那我就是在短时间内是可以的，但我不知道您这种冥想能持续多久。就在主柴丹加消时光中呢，有一位奉献者，他冥想就是主柴丹加的旅行，他就给他的路上装饰了鲜花。
So, it's not recommended, that kind of thing, to meditate on going to the holy place. Rather, we meditate on the Supreme Lord. We meditate on Him. We meditate and think of Him and His different features and form.
通常是这种冥想是不受到推荐的。我们应该冥想的是至尊主本人，冥想至尊主的特点，他的形体。
Don't just think about going to Eka Chakra, you think about what's in Eka Chakra and what places you go to see there in Eka Chakra, and think about the deities there.
就是你可以冥想Eka Chakra 有什么，在 Eka Chakra 这个地区里面的内容，在那儿的神像。
Going to the different temples there in Eka Chakra, visiting, seeing the deities. Bankim Rai, right? Bankim Rai is the deity, the deity was originally the deity of Lord Nityananda.
在 Eka Chakra 这地区呢，有一个神像 Bankim Rai， 它是主尼迦南的最原初的神像。
So we think about these places, think about the temples and the deities.
所以我们想的是这些，是庙宇，那里的庙宇，那里的神像。
So don't just spend the whole day meditating on the road, on the path, on the road to go there. You should get there quick and then go and see meditate on all the deities in the holy places, and the places of Lord Nityananda's pastimes.
所以不要把一整天的时间都花在冥想，就是在路上的过程，要赶紧到达那个目的地，然后冥想那里的神像，冥想那个尼提安那的消时光。
That will be more powerful, more purifying than just meditating on the road to go there.
所以这比起冥想去那里的这个旅程，就更有力量，更有净化力。
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Good day. 好的，没有问题了，我的。
Any more?
我想问
Yes, Guru.
问一个问题。
你的问题。
就是刚才在课程中说到，任何人倘若是念诵圣名一次，他就得到了解脱。那比如说有的人他有某种物质动机啊，他念诵了，但是随着他那个比如说这件事情过去之后，他又不念诵了，那他这种算是解脱了还是没解脱呢？
没解脱。
没。
Anyway, they were liberated when they were chanting, but they didn't keep chanting. And so they went back to the material world. That's right? You don't stay liberated, they fall back down. They come back to the material platform again. They were liberated when they were chanting, but then after chanting, they gave up.
那他们就是没解脱。他们念诵的时候是解脱了，然后他们一旦不念诵，他们就堕落到物质层面了，因为他们放弃了念诵了。
Because the same thing was asked to Prabhupada about people seeing Lord Jagannath on the Rath Yatra car, that if you see the deities on the chariot, you're liberated. So does it mean everybody's liberated? Oh, Prabhupada said yes, they're liberated, but then they have to stay liberated. They have to continue to engage in devotional service. And if they don't, then they'll fall back into material life again.
同样的，就是在主扎格纳特这个弹车节的消时光当中，有人就问，据说是任何人只要看见了主扎格纳就解脱了，那么这个人他是不是就解脱了呢？巴巴德的回答是，他看见的时候解脱了，但是他必须得一直保持这种状态，继续从事奉爱服务。如果他不从事奉爱服务，他就堕落到物质生活当中了。
So they get if they want to stay liberated, they have to act like a liberated soul.
如果他们想要保持解脱的状态，他们必须就是像一个解脱的灵魂那样的去行为举止。
So a liberated soul understands he's not the body, so he doesn't act for his own sense gratification.
解脱的灵魂，他们不会认同于这个躯体，他们的活动也不是为了感官享乐去活动。
Yeah.
Thank you. Understand.
Okay. Any other question? How you went, Tima?
In the lecture, there's a lot of glorification about the holy name.
Yes.
So there are different level of chanting the holy names.
Yes.
So the lowest, in the beginning stage, there's chanting with offense.
Yes.
So I heard that Srila Prabhupada said that, I heard in a lecture that as soon as one endeavors for offenseless chanting, that is regarded as offenseless chanting。我翻译一下，就是我听说，就是唱诵圣名，这个课程当中讲了很多唱诵圣名的荣耀，但是在一开始阶段呢，都是带着冒犯的念诵。但我听一个讲课里说，只要是努力的去做到没有冒犯的念诵，那就被视为是没有冒犯的念诵。
Yes, you want to avoid offences? You have to take. If we chant with offences, then we don't get any real benefit from that. We're not going to develop love of God, and we're not going to be liberated if we chant with offences.
Oh, okay.
But if we chant on the intermediate stage, which is namabhas, the shadow of the name, then you get liberation. And that means even, like it said, we said today, this morning, I said that if we chant without offense, even though you may chant jokingly, or you may chant unintentionally, but you get the benefit. And the example was there, Ajamila, that he chanted, and he didn't know he was chanting the name of God or anything, but he was calling Narayan. And he got he got freed of all of his sins. That was the liberation. He got free of his sinful reactions.
那如果就是带着冒犯，如果有冒犯的话，那不能得到真正的好处，也不能发展出神爱，也不能达到解脱。但是如果达到了中间的状态，也就是 Namabhas 阶段的话，就得到了解脱。就是在讲课中说，一个人哪怕是开玩笑的念诵或者无意识的念诵，他也能得到好处。这个例子呢，就是 Ajamila 的故事。他呢，并没有唱诵神的圣名，但是他唱诵了这个名字之后呢，他就摆脱了罪恶，他就摆脱了罪恶，就意味着他得到了解脱了。
And so, after the Yamadutas came, and then the Vishnu Dutas, they freed Ajamila. They wouldn't let the Yamadutas take him away. So then Ajamila was free of his karma, his bad karma. So then he went to Hardwar. He went to Hardwar on the bank of the Ganga, and he stayed in a Vishnu temple. And there he did devotional service and became a pure devotee. And then he went back to Godhead.
那在那个 Vishnu Duta 把 Ajamila 从 Yamaduta 的手中释放了之后， Ajamila 呢，他摆脱了自己的 karma 业报，他就去了 Haridwar， 去了一所 Vishnu 的庙宇，在那里从事奉爱服务。他获得了纯粹的奉爱之后，他回归了神手。Yeah, understand.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. So, did you still want to ask questions to me, Sati? Gurumani?
Yes.
Okay, so will we finish and then I'll come back, or do you want to, how will we do it?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
我把录音停了就可以了。
好的。Thank you.
好了，
就是我想问，就是一个是有关于三个问题，一个是有关于这个风水，就是 Vastu，我们学习。